Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Speaking the Truth About Money with Martin Coward and Joy the Wise Woman. I am both Martin Coward and Joy the Wise Woman. Martin Coward is my human name, and Joy the Wise Woman is my spiritual name. And we just love these conversations on Friday at 12:30 to talk about the truth about everything, but especially about money, because money is always tied to our sense of worthiness. And you know what? We are worthy, magnificent, beautiful human beings. It doesn't matter how much money we have, what our celebrity status is. It's because we are who we are. We're unique, beautiful human beings. And I'm so excited today because my guest is Lucky Church. And Lucky Church is kind of a super guru among the entertainment industry. So he knows what celebrities are like. And he works with celebrities. And he's going to share with you today some personal stories of his own about how he got into this position. He's going to also share some stories about the impact that his heart attack had on how he sees and perceives the world. But he's going to let us know that we all matter. We all matter regardless of our celebrity status or no celebrity status, because we're all beautiful, precious human beings. And I've gotten to know this guy about 10 years ago, and he's one of the most big-hearted, most beautiful men that I know. And before I give, I want to just say one thing. When I met him, he let me know that he was an ally by telling me he had some gay siblings. He's got two gay siblings. He's got a bisexual sibling, Frenchie Davis, who's a well-known singer, and he's got a brother named Derrick, who's a gay man who passed away in February. Yeah. And this show is dedicated to Derrick, his brother. So I just want to make that out there first and say thank you for coming on today and letting us know so we could dedicate this show to your brother, Derrick. And so, Lucky, tell us a little bit about how you became this guy from Harlem who's got a very famous family. Yeah. And has become such an influencer and human connection expert in the world of entertainment.
Yeah. Well, my introduction into the entertainment business is very, very interesting because I started as a rock singer. I started as an R&B singer technically. If you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be the next Usher, but that didn't happen. So when I went to college, I met a young man by the name JUS, and we put a band together. And people on the campus like, you need to know Just needs to know you. So we quickly built a relationship, and we started a band. And during that time frame, I was doing different roles in the band, but not understanding I was building a skill set. So while I was in the band, I was the chef, I was the therapist, I was the publicist when I didn't know what that was at the time. I was booking all our gigs, plus being one of the front men and lead singer. And I did that for a few years. I think we were together about 15 years, actually.
Really?
Yeah, a long time. We had a big following in Germany. But long story short, my brother, when I flew back to New York, it was in August of 2015. This is how I really got the big start in the industry, because I've been in the industry for a while, doing odd jobs and just trying to work for people as assistants and then doing my music. But my brother was running Lizzie Grubman's PR. I'm not PR, but the music division of her company. And I called him. He said, "Hey, can you come down and just help me with a few things?" Because he had had a massive heart attack himself, and he was just going through some stuff. He's not really my brother. His name is Free Smith, but he's like a brother to me. Mm-hmm. So I said, "Hey, I'll come down. Let me see what I can do." So on the first day there, I'm just helping them with some light stuff, and they couldn't get into a fashion show. So they needed some connections to the fashion show. And I was like, "Oh, I think I know the person who runs the security. I know this person. I know that person. Let me make a call." So I was able to get the team in to this event. And I think right away, Lizzie was impressed with that. And it went from me being this no-name guy in her office to her kind of walking over to my brother like, "Yo, who is he?" And, he's, "Oh, that's my brother, blah, blah, blah." And he kind of warned me. He said, "Look, if you just come in, things happen here." He was like, "So just come and be in your A game." Long story short, by the next day, she was like, "You work for me now." That's your desk. She pointed to a desk, and she's like, "That's where you're going to sit. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. And I said, "Oh, okay." We just started working for her. And I was like, it was just a whirlwind experience from there, because then I took the skill set that I built from the band and then used that while I was working. Then I said, wait a minute. I said, I've been doing PR for years. I've been doing management for years. I realized that everything that I was doing in the past was lining me up and setting me up for this future opportunity that I walked into and I was ready for. And then with a few months, I was running the PR division. And then she also created another division for me called the concierge division. And I was handling all the concierge for all of her clients, bringing her clients like Nike, Jordan Brand, the Washington team now. They were the Redskins at the time. 49ers. We also worked with Jordan Brand, Nike, like I said, Converse. But these are the type of clients that I was bringing in based on relationships that I had built over my career with the band. And then that's when I realized relationships. I was a strong relationship builder and I was a publicist by nature without even realizing. So I just took those things and then spearheaded working with her and then also my own company shortly after my turn with her.
That's a great story. It's funny. It is funny how when we just say yes to the universe, it just opens up and everything becomes magic. And I remember when I just go back when I met you at the Friars Club.
Oh, yes.
We were there at an event that I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Krampus.
Yeah. He invited me to this event. He used to have the best events there.
Oh, yes.
I love those. And I went there and I met you. And I remember just liking you and telling you a little bit of my stories. Well, I'm a gay man. I'm doing this. He said, oh, I got two gay brothers. I got two gay siblings.
Uh-huh.
I knew you were an ally at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell us a little bit about growing up in Harlem with a bisexual sister and a gay brother.
Well, actually, the very first gay experience actually has nothing to do with either one of them because I found them later in life because we had different mothers. You know, we had the same fathers, but different mothers.
Uh-huh.
So let me go to the story.
Yeah, I love to hear that.
I understood what it was, what gay really was and the feelings behind it. So my best friend at the time, Daniel Scott, and then shout out to Danny. I remember one day I called him and I was young at the time. I was probably 17. Uh-huh. So I called him and I'm like, hey, Danny, I'm coming over as usual. So I was known because my grandparents were very strict. They wouldn't let me go anywhere. So to hang out with my friends, I had to go walk the dog. So I was going to walk the Chihuahua. And I said, hey, Danny, I'm about to walk the dog. I'm going to come around the corner and hang with you. And he was like, oh, I'm tired. I'm going to bed right now. And I was like, going to bed? It was like 8:39 at night. And I was like, he never goes to bed this early. But I said, okay. I was like, no big deal. I'll see you later. We'll talk tomorrow. So I leave the apartment with the dog. And as I'm going around the corner, I see this guy running out of the building that my best friend's in. And he's jumping into a car. And I'm noticing, I said, he has a cowboy hat, a cowboy boots. I was like, nobody in my neighborhood dresses like that. I was like, what the hell? But then I realized it was Danny. So I was furious. I was like, why would my best friend lie to me and not want to hang with me? So I took that personal. Months later, I remember him calling me. I mean, no matter of fact, like a year or two later after that, because I never mentioned this, because I just didn't want to bother and ruffle feathers. So 2 years later, he he calls me crying. He says, Walter, I need you to, because my real name is Walter. He said, come meet me, and I need to see you at the train station. So I went to meet him. We had a great conversation, but he starts breaking down crying. He's like, I have something to tell you. And I was like, okay. And then he doesn't tell me on the train. We take this long walk, train ride. We get to the house. Then he finally tells me, he said, hey, I got something to tell you. And I looked at him. I said, I said, you're crying so much. You act like you're going to tell me you're gay. And then his head popped up and he looked at me and I was like, oh, you gay? So he's like, yeah, I'm gay. And I was scared to tell you because I thought you would, you were going to maybe not be my friend no more. Or you might want to fight me. And I said, well, why would you think that? And he would say, well, because growing up together, he said, me and you both would make a lot of jokes about gay people. He said, your jokes were not malicious. He said, because I know you're not a malicious person. But he said, I would engage with you and not telling you that I was gay because I didn't want you to know. And I said, oh my God. I said, so this whole time, even though I've been being playful with the jokes I'm making, I said, I've been hurting you. And he was like, well, not hurting me. He said, just scaring me to confront you, to tell you about who I really am. And I was like, bro, I said, you being gay is not going to change anything. I said, I love you regardless. And I was like, so all those girls you told me you had sex with was a lie, you know? So that's when we broke that. We just had a ball laughing. And then we went into more jokes, and then I started calling him Little Richard. Like, we had these funny names for each other, and then he would call me his sister, you know, just to play with me. But that was a very valuable lesson about what words do to people, even if your intent is just to be joking and
Yeah,
playing.
I love that. It's there's an impact, both a an intentional and unintentional
Yeah,
impact to what we say and do.
exactly.
And what was revealed to you is that, while you're right, your intention was never to hurt your friend,
Yeah,
but there was an unintended impact of hurt
yeah,
because you just weren't conscious, really,
and it
of
created
the
a gap
impact of what you were
between us that
saying.
exactly, and there was a gap between us that I didn't know, and as soon as that wall was broken down, our friendship was even deeper
Of
because
course,
he didn't know that I had gay friends already.
right.
I was like, "You?" I was like, "You're not my first gay friend, bro." I was like, "Let me introduce you to Rashid and these other people." And then these other friends that he started hanging out with, these are now his tight circle of friends, and I'm the one that actually introduced him to them because
Uh-huh.
I was never judgmental about that stuff. And I think that moment with him prepared me for meeting my brother, my sister, and other people in my life that I had to do business with. Um, just in watching my language, being careful what I said to people, building a rapport with them before maybe even I went to go start making jokes about things. Because I think we all have a sly, funny personality within us, and we love to make jokes about things that maybe only our close circle will know about.
Yeah.
But still, building to a point where I got to know the person before I decided to do anything like that, and make sure what they were comfortable and what they weren't comfortable with, out of respect for who they were as human beings.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I know that you had, I think this is the first time we've actually been really up close and personal
Yes.
since you had your heart attack. Why don't you tell
Yeah.
us a little bit, go back? But I remember that very clearly. I remember when you had your heart attack and you were in the hospital, and there were some days we were all we were very worried about you, my dear.
Yeah. And
And
it
maybe
was,
you were worried about you, my
oh
dear.
yes. I'll
Tell us a little bit about that experience and how that has shaped the way you show up in the world today.
Yeah, that experience really changed my life for the better. I'll never forget that day because I have a very high tolerance for pain, and the doctors made me clearly aware of that after I walked into the hospital. But I was at the barbershop,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden, I was dozing off in the chair, and that was kind of odd because I never really did that before. And then when I left the barbershop, as soon as I was walking out the door, I got a pain in my back that just hit me hard, and it was on the left side. And I was like, "Whoa, what is that?" So I try, when you get it, you think it's gas. We think everything is gas pain. So I went and bought a ginger ale. Nothing was working. And I went to a concert, went and bought gas X. Nothing worked. So by the time I got home that night, I sat down. Hey, I have a pleasure to meet you too. As I sat down with my wife that night, it was about almost midnight, and she saw me. She just kept looking at me, and she's like, You never act this way. Even when you're sick, you're in pain. You never act like this." And I was like, "Well, let me just go to bed." And she was like, "Oh, wait a minute." She's like, "Go to bed." She's like, You like to stay up at night and watch documentaries." She was like, "Something's wrong." I said, "No, let me just lay down. Don't worry about it. And if I don't feel good in the morning, I'll go to the doctor." Um, Before we lay down, she looked at me. She said, "No, you need to go now." She said, "And if you she said, wouldn't you make me go if I felt this way?" I said, "Yes." So we went. The universe was open that space for me to go because when I got to the emergency room, brother, there was nobody in the emergency room. Not one. I mean, there was nurses, but there was not one patient waiting. So God, the universe was like opening a path for me. And when I got there for 2 hours, they ran tests on me, asked me questions, and they couldn't find anything. But I was being cool with the nurses, hugging them and everything. And next thing you know, the head nurse comes and says, "You know what? Before you leave, would you mind us doing one test? Because she said sometimes that pain can be a red herring for something that I hope it's not, but let me just check. So they gave me, I believe, was it the CAT scan or MRI? I think it was a CAT scan. Um, and I remember the look on her face after she saw it. Because you can watch them, and she ran out. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She then rushes me into the emergency room. There's another emergency room in the emergency room, which I then found out for the real emergencies. Um, so then a lady in a white coat comes over, and she's like, "Look, I don't have time to play with you. You are having an aortic dissection right now. It's burst." She's like, and I don't. She said, "We don't even understand how we're talking to you right now." She was like, "But we need to rush you into emergency surgery right now, or else you could easily go to sleep and just die." She's like, she's like, I can't tell you any other way because I need you to understand this is an emergency." And I remember one tear rolling down my face. I looked at my wife. I was like, "Let's do what we got to do." And I don't know what it was that took over me, but there was like a calmness that took over. And I remember calling my family, trying to reach people. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I had to be in the surgery at 7. And I'm just calling everybody. Nobody answers, but one person answered the phone, which is one of my best friends. Shout out to Ty Hunter. I love him. He's the stylist for Billy Porter and was the former stylist for Beyonce for over 20 years. And I called him, and he answered, and he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I'm about to go into heart surgery, and I just wanted to speak to somebody before I go." And he was like, "Lucky." He said, "God is not done with you yet." He said, "So you're going to be fine." He says, "Don't even worry. Call me after surgery. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow."
Isn't that beautiful?
Just like that.
And gave me chills.
I said, thank God for allowing him to answer the phone, because somebody else would have panicked and went crazy on me, which would have then spiked my heart rate and made me go crazy. He just had a regular conversation with me and put me at ease. And then I went into an 8.5 hour surgery. And by the grace of God, that's before it was 24 hours after surgery. I would say maybe a good 13 hours after surgery. I was already up, awake, and trying to eat food and walking around the room, doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing, that they were confused about. But the blessing was there. And that's the story of my first heart surgery, man. And then the second one was more maintenance. But after that, when you see how life can be just gone in an instant, I stopped stressing about stuff. Like nothing would get under my skin. And not to say that I don't care about anything, because that's just a term that we easily use, but I let things roll off of me. Things that I couldn't control.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is that what I know is that those dark moments move us into a deeper light of truth of unconditional love.
That part.
Yeah, that part.
That part, right?
That blessing, that grace that comes with this thing that your friend told you about when you went into that surgery was like, yeah, God's not through with you. The presence of the universe. Yes. You're here for a purpose.
Yeah.
You're uniquely crafted, created the exactly way you are, Lucky Church. Yeah. And here's a little something here's an opportunity for you to slow down a little bit and get present to the truth of who you are.
Yeah.
So that you can come back and you can live that life purpose.
Yeah. And reminded me that the one thing that I wasn't doing enough of was taking care of me.
Right. A little more self-love, right?
Yeah. I was taking care of everybody else, but I was depleting from me and not feeding back into myself, not nurturing myself, not taking those moments just to take a break from me, taking some time to meditate, just to take a walk in the park, you know what I mean? And smell the flowers. I remembered how precious those little details are. And then I started to do those things more.
Yes. I feel you, my friend. I feel you. So let's expand on this. So as you've learned to love your own life and learn to love everything in life is more precious because of this experience, how has that impacted you as an influencer in the entertainment business, where there are a lot of people who might believe that they're more important than other people because they're a celebrity?
Yeah.
And we talked before the show, we both know that in that space of heart space, in that place of of love consciousness. There's no such thing as a superior position.
No.
And so how has this experience influenced you and help you be even a better connector and relationship builder in the entertainment industry?
Well, one thing it also did, besides help me develop and be better, was it let me know that the thing that I thought I was crazy for during my entire career, even before I had a big career, was that leading with my heart and leading with love and the intent of building an actual relationship based on a friendship and based on really getting to know each other rather than the purpose of trying to have an ulterior motive or to gain something from the person I'm talking to. Being open to just building that friendship and a bond allowed me to really appreciate people more. And it showed me that I was already on the right track a long time ago. So I just doubled everything that I was already doing. Because that's one of the things that I'm known for, like being a master connector. And I think that it also trickled down to my clients because a lot of my clients would see the unorthodox way, well, what they call an unorthodox, of leading with this love and just being a person who was open to talking. Because not only do I help my clients with, one little piece of PR, whatever I do for them, but I also help them maintain their mental health because I think that's important to them and try not to stress themselves. And I think the pandemic, along with that, taught all of us to really just be careful and mindful of how we're spending our time, how we're treating people. And it put us all on an even playing field to where nobody was exempt from something. So we all got to see this
Yeah.
union and commonality in everyone around us. Because no matter how big you were, how small you are, COVID affected everyone.
Yeah, and rich or poor, black or white, gay or straight, COVID did not care.
It did not care who or what your views were. It came and it got you as it saw fit. And I lost a lot of family members to COVID during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a humbling experience
Yeah.
to deal with that and just watch how the world was changing. And I think social media was a tool that also brought us closer together because, everybody became a reporter because everybody has a phone in their hands. So everybody's taking pictures and reporting. So that's another thing that changed the game, by the way, just to throw that in there. The fact that everyone and anyone can have a camera at any given moment allowed people to see or catch celebrities in certain moments that showed that they were only human. Because we tend to put these people on a pedestal and look at ourselves as less than these big deities, because that's kind of what we create them to be in our mind. But I think we're coming to a place now where we're in the awakening stage.
Yeah, I totally agree. And actually the footprint of this show started during COVID. And during COVID, I went live every day. It was called the Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour with Martin. And
Wow.
I went live every day at noon, Monday through Saturday. I just turned on my Facebook Live, just like this StreamYard, and I just went live typically by myself. And I would do some reading that I was reading, a spiritual reading. And then I'd do a little talk about that. And then we'd meditate 20 minutes. And the whole idea was to give people a place of calm, a place to get out of their heads, a place to get out of the drama during those difficult, challenging times, because we didn't know. And, I had people all over the world who were showing up to be on that show with me every day. And what's interesting now, I look back and say, I've chronicled in that whole year, I've got a whole year of every single day moment of those live recordings. And I'll do something with those one day. But yeah, I think that it gave us all a chance to slow down and to create something bigger than what we think about,
Yeah. And I think and the funny thing, I agree with that because in a time where a lot of people struggled, and I understand why, because so many people lost their jobs and just went through these horrible experiences. But in that time, a lot of people also found a way to thrive.
Yeah.
Creative with their careers, and a lot of people even quit jobs that were killing them. If you
Yeah.
don't understand that taking
Well, I think the word is wake up. They say, life is precious. I don't want to spend the rest of my life working in a toxic environment. I don't want to work in a dynamic where I want to work in a nurturing relationship with my
Mm-hmm.
boss and my people, where I want people who love, where we start with the relationship first.
Mm-hmm.
And we love and care for each other as human beings, and then we're going to want to support each other in this mission that you have
That's
as me,
right.
your employee. We're not, one's not more superior than the other one. We're just here on this planet together to try to get something done. And I
That's
think
right.
that's what's shifting, because if it's not going to happen, then people, that's why we have this mass exodus right now in the great resignation, because people say, I don't care that much about money. Money is precious. I'm much more interested in getting up every day and being in connection and in good harmony with the world. And look at this. There's my buddy,
Right, brother.
Abba Henry. Me, like me, I love working with I love working with Abba too, man.
Uh-huh.
We work together every morning from 6:30 to 9 o'clock because he's in Africa,
That's
and
awesome.
we literally yes, I am your friend, but
That's
you are,
right.
and you're my gay agape brother. I love you
I
so much.
love it. I
I
love it.
love you, brother. And thank you for piping in here and saying hello to us, because we do this every day, and we are learning how to work together in virtual space, because I think that's what's so missing right now.
Yeah.
As we move to people, it's all transaction driven and
Mm-hmm.
not relationship driven. And I have
Exactly.
discovered that by just turning on the Zoom with my brothers over there, with Abba and Paul and others that I'm working with in Africa every day, we just turn on our Zoom at 6:30 and 9 o'clock, and we just co-work.
Yeah.
And we get 10 times the work done, because we can just ask each other a question. We just, because our hearts are open. We're in that, we move into that creative zone, and
Yes.
we just get a lot more. We just get a lot more done. So I
I
think
haven't been back to my regular office since. And we moved our office from the city to New Jersey, got a huge office in Hamilton, New Jersey, over 5,000 square feet. But I love working from home. I love the freedom to get, because I'm a pacer. So, I'm one of those people. I get up when I'm thinking. I like to walk and move around. So I'll take a meeting and I'll go walk in the park, and I'll have my headphones on and the sound blockers, and I'll have a meeting in the park. It's so freeing.
yes,
It's allowing my mind to even be more creative and
exactly.
really rethink my business structure and how I do business. So I'm in a really, really, really good space right now. And I think the pandemic was a blessing. If anybody, as long as people took the time to find the blessing within it, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
we always look at negative things as negative, and I don't see anything as negative at all. I see either everything as a lesson or a blessing. You know what I mean?
I think negative. We live in a spectrum.
Yeah. Oh, that part.
We live in a spectrum of light, and so we either have light energy, which is positive, creative energy, or there's a shadow of that light where you're not able, and that's the negative.
Hmm.
That's by definition, it's a negative energy,
Yeah.
and it's not creating; it's actually pulling creation out.
Yeah.
So we need that to bounce off of, so we can, oh, I gotta this is not feeling too good. This is a negative thing. Let me just let this go and see what beautiful opportunity there's going to be on the other side of this.
That's right. Ooh, you better
Yeah,
preach.
that's it. Well, I want, this show is dedicated to your brother Derrick, and I
Yes.
want to spend the next few minutes talking about Derrick, what he did, your relationship with Derrick, and just share with us. I mean, one thing we really appreciate as I can say for me as a gay man, and I can speak, and I think I can say this speak for almost all LGBT people. We just love and appreciate our allies who are not part of this community, because we couldn't do it without you.
Yeah.
And I know that Derrick was very fond of you. He had to be proud of you. And so I'd like to hear your side of that story, and what you'd want to be said about him as we dedicate this show to Derrick.
Yeah. And I think, and back to the original story about my best friend Danny, that ties into my brother Derrick, because that situation prepared me for when I actually met Derrick. Because the first time I met Derrick, this is a great story about how I met my brother. The first time I met him was actually at my father's funeral. And I'll never forget this. I'm at the casket, I'm sitting in the front row, and this man comes in. And now this experience happened before the experience I'm telling you about with Danny when I saw the boots. I was probably 13 when this experience happened that I'm talking about now. And this guy with a fur coat walks in, and he's fabulous. You hear me? And I'm looking, he's all over that my father's casket. So me being a 13 kid, I said, "Oh, that must be daddy's boyfriend." Like this is, I don't know what to think. I was like, "What is happening here?" So then I go to the bathroom, and my uncle Ralph comes in the bathroom, and so I'm using the commode, and the stand-up urinals, and I'm using it. So then my uncle comes, right on the left side of me, and then on the other side of him, Derrick walks in and is using. So we all use the bathroom, and my uncle goes, "Walter, this is your brother Derrick." And I said, "Oh." So and at that time I didn't even know I had another brother, because I had a little brother who lived with me, and I was just like, "Oh my God, I have a brother." But I tell you that story to tell you, I tried to connect with him for years, but he didn't, because my family, some of the family wasn't too nice to him in certain areas. So he thought I would also be the same, and how people treated a lot of gay men in the streets. Being that he didn't know me, he kind of assumed that I would just be that kind of a person because I was from the hood and what I would do to him. So that put a damper on our relationship for years, not in a bad way, but just we couldn't connect.
Mm-hmm.
One day, my wife brought him to my surprise birthday party for my 30th birthday. And when he walked in and he met my friends, he was like, "Oh my God." He said, "You have so many gay friends." I was like, "Of course I do." I was like, "I love everybody." And he was like, then we hugged and we cried. And from that moment on, we were almost inseparable. Like he told me the stories about how he started with the House of LaBeIJA. At one point, he was also the father of the House of LaBeIJA, how he was one of the top voguers in the world. He also was a dance teacher. He also taught, I don't know if you remember the video, Single Ladies,
Yeah.
Beyonce. So one of the girls in the video is his student and protege. So so he's done so many great things. And just knowing that my brother was happier to have love for me and a connection with me, even more happier than he was about the career he had built for myself, just spoke volumes about him as a person. You know what I mean? Um, and I miss him so much, because I spoke to him, maybe a week before he had passed away, and I was busy, and we were talking about the show Pose. I'm sure you heard of that show Pose, which one of my clients and dear friends, Billy Porter, was on. Um, and that show actually made us connect even deeper, because he had told me his story before, but sometimes when you don't have actual visual to see things. And I remember that opening scene in Pose when the kid got thrown out his house and the stuff got thrown in the garage. They threw it right on the lawn and just kicked on. The family disowned him. And I called him after that first episode crying. And I was like, "Bro, is this some of the stuff that you talked about growing up?" And he was like, "Yeah." He said, "I never really went through that, because my brother was always bold and he could fight. So if
Yeah.
you talk mess about him, he's gonna knock you out." But I had a new respect for him, because he showed me pictures of him growing up in the 80s. Okay, he was walking around the projects of the Bronx, New York, with poom poom shorts and a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. That takes courage. And I'm not
You got that right, brother.
but and not just that I'm holding on the courage, but to be yourself unapologetically, knowing what you were going to face when you walked out those doors. That's the people that really tilt the scales and make the changes in this world. And he's one of the people that affected me in a big way, that made me say, "Look, I can't just say I love people. I got to get up, go out, and show that I love people." Like, I would have friends who were transgender see me in the street, and they would cross the street and not speak to me because they saw me with my wife. And I would make my duty to run over and say, "Excuse me, mother, excuse me. You act like you don't see me." They say, "Oh, lucky, I just, you was with your wife." I said, "Let me explain something to you. If my wife or anyone else thinks something about you being my friend, that's their problem, not ours." I said, "You need to know that somebody loves you and that you could be yourself and hug that person when you see them in the street." So that's been my mission from that time on.
Wow, you're such a beautiful, loving man, and I appreciate you. You know what? I went as I shared with you before. Abba, who's jumped in, he's a gay African man, and I went to Africa in last November, and he opened my heart to seeing a whole new world of being queer,
Yeah.
being queer African, and especially with the transgender community, because those people in Africa are bold.
Yeah.
and they
And
are
I love that.
courageous, and I love it too. So,
And you have
and
to.
so I want to dedicate this show to to Derrick and all the people who have the courage to get out and just be themselves, because
Yeah,
that's how we change the world. We change
that
the
part.
world by being ourselves, by being in the heart, and and that's how we make change happen.
Yeah.
It's not what we do; it's who we be.
Oh, come on. You better talk, Reverend.
Yes, sir, brother. Well, we're up at I knew if we go by too quickly because I just love you so much and I
We have
love
to do this
talking.
again as soon as
We'll definitely do it again on the show.
yes.
And I live in New Jersey, and I want us to get together and have lunch and just talk about some things. I know you got some cool things going on in Africa, and I do too. And I think we could find some ways to collaborate and help each other out with those
Yeah.
projects. And I'd love to be part of yours. So we'll definitely do that. But before we close it out, I'd like to give people, if you would, anybody who wants to get to know a little bit more about you, wants to get to know you, how is the best way for people to contact you, and they just want to become your friend and get to know you? And I know
Yeah,
that you're a
no
pretty
problem.
accessible guy.
Yeah, I'm big on that. I'm big on building friendships and new relationships. So anybody who wants to see a little bit about me, you can find me anywhere across social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff at Lucky Church. So that's pretty simple. And if you want to email me and just reach out and just see what I'm doing, or maybe just see if there's a project we can collaborate on, or what I do specifically, you can reach me at iamluckychurch@gmail.com. And I'm always open and available to, like I said, meeting new people and seeing how we can collaborate. And also on my Instagram page, if you go into my bio, there's a link that says a link tree, which opens up a whole lot of articles and contact information to reach me as well there. So please do not be afraid. Reach out to me. I do not bite. You know what I mean?
He is, I will say one thing about you are the real thing when it comes to connection. Like I said before, one thing I knew about you when I met you is that I've always said you just got my back, brother,
Yes.
and I've got your back, and that's something we just sort of intuitively knew in that first meeting, and it's so great to be back together again after all these years.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. I want to give out a shout out for something I got very exciting. I've got going on starting on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a spiritual mindset coach, and I've got a brand new revised 5-day free workshop. It's called the GBTQ, the Gay, Bi, Trans, Queers Hero's Journey to Infinite Potential.
Wow.
And it's a revised program because here's something that happened. I changed in the last year. I went to Africa and opened my heart, which opened to a deeper place in my heart. I went deeper into heart space. And then just recently I was at the Gay Coaches Allowance with 30 of the most brilliant, powerful gay coaches I've ever met in my life. And it even opened up my heart to a deeper place.
Mm-hmm.
So I've revised this program to help more and more of my gay, bi, and trans brothers and change agents and trying to get deeper into the heart so they can be more powerful and step into that infinite potential and make the change in the world that they're here to do. And that workshop is starting on Monday. It's free. It's less than an hour a day. And I'm going to leave the link here for you to sign up. Please register. And I want to show why if you're not gay and you're straight and you're a woman, you're welcome to take the workshop. I want to explain to you why from a coaching perspective, I work with men because I do shadow work and I don't understand the interior landscape of women from a shadow perspective. So if you're an ally and you're comfortable and you want to come be with us, you're by all means welcome. Yeah. If you got the courage to come hang out with a bunch of gay, bi, and trans men, please join us for that workshop. Everybody's welcome to come in the workshop. I want anybody to come into heart space. So that's what I just want to say out there about that. So I'll drop the link near the picture when we release this video on YouTube, and also this will be coming out on a podcast, and I'll give you the information on that. So, I'd love for anybody to come in and join us and be part of that free workshop next week. Again, it's going to be less than an hour a day from noon to 1, maybe even less than that, less than an hour. And of course be replays for people because no one's got the bandwidth or the time to block out an hour a day for 5 days. I don't care how good the workshop is. So we're going to have replays for you to come and you can watch them at your leisure. But I'd love to have as many people as possible show up. We're going to be on Zoom, and so register and come join us over there for that next week. And I'm very excited about that. And you come join us too, Lucky. We'd love to have you.
I'm going to come join, actually.
I would love to have you in the party. I would love to. I'll share one little thing about this. It is new and it is revised, and it is my work of art. And I'm feeling a little bit vulnerable. So to have you in the room to support me would really feel good, quite frankly.
I would love that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the truth, you know. So thank you so much, Lucky, for being on here with me today.
Can I say one more thing before we go?
You can. Certainly you can.
This is important. I wanted to make sure I say this because it's something that my mom. So when I say my mom, my real mom passed away in 2004, but my sister that I met later in life, her mom, Sharon Haywood, has become my mother as well. The best thing ever. But what I'm want to say by mentioning her name is the way me and you have a relationship, Martin. People do not let age be a barrier for relationships. People always do this, and I think people miss a blessing when they don't want to be around people because of certain. Well, somebody thinks, "Oh, that person's too young. This person's too old." Whatever they may think, friendship is ageless. And I learned. My mom said something to me beautiful, literally 3 days ago, and we had a 2-hour conversation. Okay, and at the end of the conversation, she says, "Baby," she said, "I thank God for you every day." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "I love you." Why? I said, "No need to." I said, "I know you got my sister Monique." She was like, "No." She said, "Because when I talk to you, I feel young again." And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" She said, "Because when I talk to you, the conversations go everywhere. The way I remember having conversations with my friends in my teens, in my 20s." She said, "We talk about everything, no matter how crazy the topic is. I forget that you're my son, and I just go into this friendship zone and I feel safe and comfortable." And she said, "Don't lose that." She said, "Because I'm pretty sure other people in your life feel the same way." And then literally the next day, one of my mentors, Reggie, who just turned 70 years old, Reggie Strong, was former principal, he told me the same thing. He said, "Lucky, I love being around you because I don't feel like I'm 70. I feel like I'm your age and I'm hanging with the cool kids." And he said, "Thank you for giving me that." Because he said, so many people just know me by my job. So they think I'm this strict professional and that I don't have a fun side to me. He said, "But you don't care about any of that. You let it all hang out when you're with me, and then it lets me let it all hang out." I just think there's the beauty in just allowing those. And
you said it so beautifully, leading from the heart.
Yeah.
When we lead from the heart, is ageless, because we're not making any judgments. We're just saying, I'm leading from the place of I am loving, whereas I am a loving creator, and I love everything that I've created, and I particularly love what I'm seeing right in front of me right now.
That part right there, brother. And that's how our first conversation was, honestly.
Yes, it was.
We were just talking. When I sat there, which I was like, why am I telling him so much stuff? I was like, but you were so comforting and kind. And I felt your energy and your spirit that I felt safe. And when you feel those safe spaces, you got to lean into it. You know what I mean?
You gotta lean in them and dance in them.
That's right. Don't make me get my dancing shoes and my tambourine.
Lucky, this has been such a joy seeing you and being with you today. Thank you for taking the time to be on our show and sharing your stories with us, guests. And we'll be talking to you soon. Hold on, let me just close this out, and we'll be right. I'll meet you backstage. All right. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. May love and prosperity prevail all over the world.